Michigan that will be built out, and we'll talk about how that building will look and the concept of that building. Renderings are in front of you. The successful bidder is Vision Multimedia Group. That is the parent company of WUFO, Mix 1080 AM, and 96.5 Power FM. And we are you can clap on that. We will talk a little bit more about the selection process, but it was a very extensive process to find the right tenant for that building that will be built out at significant cost. One of the major drivers in the African American Heritage Corridor is Majority Leader Crystal Peoples-Stokes. She has been a real champion for this area of the city of Buffalo, and the 509 historic Michigan building, which will be redeveloped with over $1 million, with $1 million that comes from the state of New York through the work and effort of Majority Leader Crystal Peoples-Stokes. It is now my pleasure to introduce someone who has been a real champion for the African American Heritage Corridor, a real champion for the redevelopment of 509 Michigan, Crystal Peoples-Stokes, our Majority Leader.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I want to thank whoever made the decision to hold this press conference inside. This is April, this is Earth Day, but it's still a little chilly out there. But you can get warm, not just from being inside WUFO right now, but you can get warm just at the thought that the Heritage Corridor is moving forward. This is something that I envisioned almost 20 years ago and started investing in this corridor, even as a county legislator. And upon becoming a state representative, we passed legislation that established it as a heritage corridor. And in doing so, there had to be a master plan put together. And there was a master plan to put together. And one of the things the master plan made clear is that there should be no more demolitions on Michigan Avenue, from Ferry all the way down to Shiloh Church. No more demolitions. And 509, as you can tell, is on Michigan. And even though it is in rough shape, it's a period building during the period when perhaps even Harriet Tubman walked through this area with the Underground Railroad. Or maybe even W.B. Du Bois was around when NAACP was founded in this exact same area. And so it's the importance of keeping that building livable into the future, to me, is critical. And so $1 million contribution is minimal to what the value of it will be well into the future. So I want to thank the mayor, certainly want to thank the council president, and WUFO, and anyone else who actually applied for the opportunity to have their facility operating out of that building. The thought that not only will that building be there, but it will be twinned, so there will be another one that looks just like it. It's quite admirable. I think it's a great plan, and I really do look forward to the day when there's a ribbon cutting, because you know, after these press conferences, there's always a ribbon cutting that comes, and I look forward to that day. I'm really proud of the heritage and the history of black people on this particular area in the great city of Buffalo. And what we're doing here today only ensures that all of those who come after us will realize this history and have the capacity to understand the value that it brought to them in the past and the value that it will bring to them in the future. So congratulations to all involved.
Someone else who has really worked to preserve the history in this area of the city of Buffalo and who has invested heavily in this area of the city of Buffalo is Council President Darius Pridgen. He's been a real strong partner in this project and in the approach that the city took to RFP, who would be the tenant for 509 Michigan. We have worked very closely with the council president in conceptualizing the process for selecting an entity that would be the long-term tenant of the facility that is being redeveloped. It is now my great pleasure to introduce Ellicott District Council Member and Council President Darius Pridgen.
Thank you, Mayor. Today is a great day when we look at the corridor and see all of the changes that are occurring. When we dedicated the archway, Crystal Peoples-Stokes, our majority leader, said to me, now on to this building. This was the hope, that we would move from one project to another project to another project. What is so significant is Durham Memorial AME Zion Church sits right down the street, who owns, along with the federal government now, the home of Harriet Tubman, a woman who was a trailblazer. And so in the African-American Heritage Corridor, to have a woman who is of African descent, who is the sole owner of not only an AM station, but an FM station, and also a museum that is to come to this area, is a great day for the city of Buffalo. The mayor's team that put out the RFP, and that they actually, the mayor and I both found out after the team called, and when I got the call last night, I was thrilled to hear that independent body made a decision after looking at all of the requests for proposals to keep this radio station and this museum in the city of Buffalo and right there in this corridor. Today marks a great day. Congratulations to the station's owner, but most importantly, congratulations to the city of Buffalo, because a radio station, although times are changing, the radio is still and can still be the voice of the people. Yes, Mayor, it is power, and that's power to the people. Thank you.
Well, the council president talked about the owner of this station, Sheila Brown, and it's important to note that Sheila Brown is the first black woman in New York State to own an AM and an FM radio station. So as we announce her company, Vision Multimedia Group, as the successful bidder to be the tenant of 509 Michigan Avenue in that historic space, it's important to recognize that Sheila Brown herself is history. What she is doing, no black woman has ever done before. So as we celebrate our past history, it's also good to note that we are celebrating our present history. It is my great pleasure now to introduce Sheila Brown, the president and CEO of Vision Multimedia Group.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you. You know, I'm humble and excited for this RFP. You know, as I look at it, I say God has shined his light on me once again. Through our journey of first starting at WUFO, purchasing it, moving it, you know, a lot of people might not know that Crystal Peoples-Stokes, when I was looking for somewhere to move from 89 LaSalle, she said, I wish you would consider the corridor. And who would have known, as we considered the corridor, that now we're going to be moving into this historical space. I am very, very humbled and honored that we were selected for the space. You know, to my staff, to Brother Rashid McDuffie, you know, he always calling me, pushing me, to the mayor, to Common Council President and the full Common Council for passing it, and to WUFO staff. You know, you guys didn't even know all this was going on, because I kind of kept it to myself, because, you know, if we didn't get the RFP, it was no need to even really say anything. So congratulations to you guys. You will be in a state-of-the-art facility that will have air conditioner, you know, no more of us burning up. So that right there within itself is it. You know, so often people ask me, you know, how does your success happen? You know, they've seen so much of my journey from a 21-year-old starting at the radio station to where I am today. And for me, it's just all about prayer, writing it down, and making it plain. It's just really that simple. You know, if you feel a burning in your heart, you know that God is telling you to do something. So for all these years, we knew that a spot would come. We thought it was going to be this spot, but I guess our ancestors said, no, we want you to track across the street where all the other ancestors were. So I think they're proud today. I'm proud. I look forward to the partnership with the city of Buffalo for years to come.
Next, we're going to hear from the Director of Real Estate for the City of Buffalo, Hope Young Watkins, who will talk to you about the RFP process, how the advertising of that process went. It is important to note that while an independent selection committee has made the recommendation of Vision Multimedia Group as the tenant for 509 Michigan Avenue, that the way the process works, it will still go to the full council to be voted on and hopefully approved. We believe that will happen, but that process still has to go forward. Now, Hope Watkins will come and talk about the RFP process.
Good afternoon. So the RFP process was quite stringent because we wanted to be sure that this corridor was protected, that it was following the plan that was the vision of everyone that stands behind me and spoke before me. So it went out on March 5th, and it was very well represented in the Buffalo newspaper, in the Challenger, in the Criterion. It has been out for approximately 3 weeks. It was out probably twice a week, if not 3 times a week. We wanted to get as much information out there as possible that this building, this historic area, was available for individuals to look at and present to us a positive plan that could affect the African American Heritage Corridor here. We received responses that we thought were phenomenal. But the recommendation is coming because, as you have heard stated here by all those who have spoken before, Ms. Sheila Brown and WFO has made such a statement and such an impact in this area. One of the statements that came out even in the responses was that she is one of the primary anchors, and this radio station is an anchor in this area. And we wanted an anchor, so we got to maintain one by me making a recommendation. And I too hope that the council moves forward with it, because I think it will do everything to bring more positivity to the area. The recommendation that came was made because we thought she met every criteria, and it was simple. It didn't have to be a very strong process of her proposal, but she gave us everything we needed to make sure that this corridor stays in the same effect that the plan wanted to strategically. So we hope that it brings more positivity to the neighborhood. We hope it brings the community together more, and the radio station speaks to the people and the community and what they want to see happen here. Thank you.
So in front of you are some schematic drawings of what 509 Michigan will look like. You heard Majority Leader Crystal Peoples-Stokes say that the building will be twinned. So the old building will be fully renovated, and a new building that reflects the historical look of this area will be built, and the two will be connected. The next person I'm going to recognize has donated the architectural work to the city of Buffalo for the renovation and the development of 509 Michigan. He's one of the great architects in Buffalo and Western New York, in the state of New York. We can't thank him enough for the amount of time he invested to develop this plan for 509 Michigan. I want to ask Steve Carmina to come to the podium and just talk about the design, the research he did in coming up with the design, where the radio station will now hopefully be the tenant. Steve?
Thank you, Mayor. It's not often we get a chance at the podium to speak, and this is a unique opportunity for us. When we do a pro bono project, it's generally because of a passion that we have for a project, an institution, and certainly for us, the city of Buffalo. Our birth was here in the city of Buffalo as a company. We've invested in this city greatly. Our 35 employees enjoy being part of the culture of the city, and our passion for the east side and to see the success that's being driven by the people that have spoken before me is important to us. And when the mayor gave us an opportunity to just look at it for him, I wasn't going to be satisfied with just that. So, you know, I spoke with my partners at Carmina Wood Morris, and we said, let's do it. Let's come together. We'll do whatever he needs. We'll make it happen. Our positioning on this is to make sure that all the money that was going to be given to the project from the state was spent on the bricks and mortar and not for things that aren't tangible to the building and to the structure and to the tenant. And we're so excited to see Sheila and WFO going in the building. We worked with her a little bit to see how they were going to fit. It was very exciting to work with her and her staff and the passion that they have and what it's going to do for the block, including the renovation and restoration in addition to the Colored Musicians Club, Nash Lofts, which I'm fortunate to be an owner as well as the architect of, and also everything else, the rehabilitation of the Michigan Street Baptist Church and the investment there is going to be a beacon for the arch that has been already placed and to bring people here and to give them an avenue. So we're proud to be a part of this. We're proud to have been a partner with the mayor, the council president, the majority leader, and the staff at WFO to do it. And Mayor, we appreciate your compliments and they're taken to heart. Thank you. Well, yeah, the latest, the design. So obviously, the majority leader asked me a couple of years ago to look at the block. So we did, and we did some research and master planning and looked at, and of course, being involved with Nash Lofts, looked at what this area looked like back in the 1800s and early 1900s. And we were able to find some great photographs of Michigan Street Baptist Church, very few photos of Michigan, but we found the original house that became 509. And during the 20s and 30s, when many buildings were added to create that storefront so that people can have their home and their business in the same building, we found the original photograph of that building. So we saw an opportunity to take that building and put it back in space, back where it would have been in the late 1800s, and that's what you're seeing. But then the opportunity to create critical mass on the site connected the two. You don't see it in the drawings, but there's a large space that's behind the building on the Nash side, which will allow for many of the spaces for WFO to populate with, you know, their staff for marketing and so on, and their sales staff. So having that opportunity to increase that square footage and do it for the budget that the mayor presented of the money available was a challenge for us. So working with our partners, our structural engineer, who also donated their Studio T3, donated their services for this project as well, and I'm proud of their involvement here. But having that as a stepping point for allowing the redevelopment was really the secret behind this. These renderings are available. I'll make sure that I get them to Mike DeGeorge so that he can send them to the media, or certainly you can photograph them. But the square footage is basically triple the square footage which would have been there if we would have developed the building separately, and we'll have contemporary features, et cetera. The heat will be controlled so that it'll be comfortable for everybody. And they'll be in one place and we're excited about how they're going to be able to function in that space more efficiently as a team. So, did I do a good job?
Yes, you did.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, everybody.
Just a couple more speakers. The African American Heritage Corridor has a very dedicated board of directors, people who are volunteers who have deep passion, care, and concern for this area of the city and are working hard to drive development forward in this area. The executive director of the African American Heritage Corridor Commission is Terry Alford, and it is my pleasure to ask Terry to say a few words at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. There's already been a lot of great things said, and I don't think I really have anything else to add, but of course, if you know me, I always have something to say. So with that said, on behalf of the Michigan Street African American Heritage Corridor Commission, we are thrilled, we're ecstatic, we are very happy with the announcement today that our sister, fellow executive board member of our commission, Sheila Brown with Vision, has been extended the offer of filling that space. This is not only historic, it is relieving to know that this great institution, this great company here, Vision and Waffle Radio and its family will be inhabiting that space. Our mantra, one of our mantras is preserve, protect, and promote. And if you don't know, one of the great features of the Waffle Radio family here includes the Black Radio History Collective, which spans over at least 6 decades. I remember the year that Waffle was created because it's the same year that I was born, 1961, and outside of the mayor and our council president, I think I'm the oldest guy in the room here. But with that said, again, we extend our congratulations to Sheila and the Waffle family. We think it will add and complement well the other historic assets, cultural anchors, if you want to call them that are practically her neighbors now, the Baptist Church as well as Nash House. And right across the street is obviously the Colored Musicians Club and museum. So it's always good to keep people in the family. It's always good to see that Sheila's going to be close by where everyone can have access to this great space. Again, thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, Terry Alford, and thank you very much, Michigan Street African American Heritage Commission members, for all of your work. I want to say also that the commission has presented some schematics and some ideas to the city of Buffalo, and we look forward to partnering with the commission on some of the proposals that it has. I also want to mention before we conclude that also joining us are Mike Finn, the Commissioner of Public Works for the City of Buffalo, and Francisco Guzman, the Deputy Commissioner of Public Works in charge of buildings, who had the role of protecting 509 Michigan and working with Steve Carmina to make sure that we got to this point where we would be able to select a tenant for that building. Now, in the tradition of the African American community, we are a praying people. We're going to formally end this news conference before we open up for media questions in prayer, because this is a day of great Thanksgiving. We are very pleased with being able to make this announcement today, and I'm going to ask Council President Darius Pridgen to come back to the podium and close us out in prayer.
And I don't get paid twice, so I'm actually honored to do this. Let's pray. We come today to thank you. We thank you for our heritage. We thank you for the struggle of our people. But most importantly, we thank you for freedom. We thank you for faith. And we thank you for success. We pray now, oh God, that as we now even thank you for this woman and her vision and her working along with government, and today us now petitioning you that this endeavor would be successful, but more importantly, that those who would walk into the station would have a sense of pride, would have a sense of accomplishment, and that this community that we know as the African American Heritage Corridor would be a corridor for all people who would come to appreciate the struggle and the rise of a people. For it is in the precious name of Jesus we pray. Amen.
We want to thank the media for joining us today, and we will open up to your questions. Yes, Jim.
How quickly will the UFO be in 509?
So we will break ground later this year, and we expect the project to be completed in 2022 prior to the end of the year.
What will go in the other building?
The radio station will be in the entire building, 509 and the twinned section of 509.
Mayor, considering it's next to the Michigan Street Baptist Church, do you know, does anybody know if there's any history, African-American history in that building? Because it is next door. It's a bit 509.
Well, you know, additional research will be done there. Steve Carmina did a great deal of research, was able to find, as you can see, historic pictures of 509, but at this time, as we speak, I don't know what the historic connection of that building might be, but you heard Majority Leader Peoples talk about some of those in history in the African American community that were in this area, in addition to Reverend Nash and W.E.B. Du Bois and Mary Talbert and so many others. I'm sure that there is some connection to 509 Michigan, and we will continue to work to unlock and uncover that history. I don't know if anyone else would like to comment on that. Terry?
Yes, quickly. There's already a management plan that was developed a couple of years ago, and part of that plan includes historical significance related to that particular building. Presently, we're also working on a new strategic action plan that would extend knowledge on histories, not with just that building, but surrounding buildings, both still existing and not existing any longer. So yes, to answer your question, there is significant African-American history in that building, but also if just for current events the way they are, with the tax on Asians and things, that served as one of the primary spaces for Asian Americans, namely the Chinese population that worked and complemented the African American community that lived side by side with each other, worked together, lived together harmoniously. So if you are looking for any information, I can leave cards here for the media, and we can definitely provide that historical significance to you at any time. Thank you.
Can you talk about this in context with the Colored Musicians expansion next door, Steve Carmina's project, the Nash Building? You're starting to see critical mass develop right in the heart of the corridor here.
Well, this is what the Michigan Street African American Heritage Corridor Commission has been working on, building that critical mass. You heard Terry Alford talk about the strategic plan and our role in government, and certainly want to thank Majority Leader Peoples-Stokes for being able to deliver $1 million. Want to thank the partnership and support of Council President Pridgen and other members of the City Council who have been supportive of us assembling money to invest in this area of the city of Buffalo. As the Council President said, this is an area that celebrates the rich African-American history, but this is an area for all people to come to learn about that struggle, and as the Council President said, the rise of a community. We think that this is not only beneficial for this area of the city of Buffalo, for the African-American community in Buffalo, but it's beneficial for all Buffalo and Western New York. Sure, of course you can.
To the entire corridor and all of the anchor projects that are in it as we speak, I want to say upwards, including this $1 million for 509. There's something like $2.5 million of state dollars invested into the Nash House, into the Colored Musicians Club, and in some ways into the church as well. In fact, I want to say the Colored Musicians Club should be in the process of putting their new elevator in soon. So there is significant state investment into this corridor and its growth. And, I can't call what future budgets will look like, but I will say that I will always be committed to the development of this corridor.
Anybody else? Sheila, if you could. Kind of a big deal for you guys. What are you feeling? What are you thinking today?
Just happy, able to take our staff and our clients to come into a state-of-the-art facility is very important. WFO, we're celebrating 60 years in broadcast industry. And what a way to break our 60 year, to be the one to win the RFP for it. So exciting on what's to come for next year. Exciting, it's not easy to move a radio station, but we know we did it before. Moved up to LaSalle, so we'll be able to move across the street too. So excited about it.
That was my next question. So you'll have the radio station in the building as well. Do you plan to expand at all? Had any other tenants, businesses, or what's your business plan, I guess, essentially, once you get in there?
Well, to move all of WUFO, our staff, and, we have a main studio, we have a production studio, a newsroom, our offices, and then we have the WUFO Black Radio History Collectives. So everything that you see here will get moved.
And so when you heard about the chance to get the money to help with development, what were you thinking? Did you think you would get it or you wouldn't get it? Were you worried?
Well, at first, I was kind of leery. I didn't even know if I was going to even go in to do the RFP, and then it was like, okay, you know what? WFO deserves to be in that building, so let me push it. And a few other people pushed me and was like, okay, no, do that. Fill it out. So, we were happy when we got the call yesterday to say that we were going to be the selected tenant after everyone signs off of it.
What about personally for you, being right next door to the church, being right across the street from the Nash House, and the synergy that's going to be created for
Reasons in 2013, when we moved here, when Peoples-Stokes suggested, said, I wish you would look at the corridor. So right away, we said, oh, that'd be great. You have the church, you have the Nash House, you have the Michigan Avenue Baptist Church, you have the Colored Musicians Club, and then WFO. So all four of us being historical piece could do tours together. So it was just really thrilling for us, and we have been able to do tours together.
radio station twice in 10 years.
Oh my God, I know. Yeah, right. Yes.
Another question. Congratulations on 60 years.
Thank you.
It's quite an accomplishment. And this being that year, and I know normally with COVID, normally the station is very active, doing a lot of different things in the community. Are you going to be able to, do you have vision to bring some of those exciting events and those kind of things into this corridor?
Absolutely. WUFO is a promotion-driven station. We come out of one promotion into another. So we will have foot traffic coming through the corridor like we've been doing since 2013. Last year with COVID, we had to cancel all of our major events. So now this year we're able to do them, but we got to get creative with it. So we can only have 60 people at all of our events. Like our Mother's Day luncheon is coming up. We just had our Easter egg hunt for the children at Mount Olive Baptist Church. We can only have 60 children. So everything we do this year is 60, and that's kind of great because we're celebrating 60 years. Yeah.
So like, for instance, the Black Music Month Conference and Awards, is that something that you think could one day find its home somewhere here in the corridor?
It depends if a new building came up. Black Music Month Conference is a 3-day event, so we need to have a facility that can hold a 3-day event. People come from all over the country to learn how to break into the radio industry. So to say that it would be in a corridor, that's kind of hard. It needs to be in a hotel or a convention center, somewhere like that.
Okay, anybody else? We good? Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Congratulations.